Okay, mathematicians, welcome back. So, just as a reminder, and sorry, I kicked the table. So, just as a reminder, for this week, our math is going to start looking a little bit different. We're done with multiplication for right now. We might review it in a couple of weeks, but we need to go back and kind of look back at all the work that we've been doing throughout the year and start doing some deeper thinking. Start thinking a little bit more. Okay, I'm gonna start over. Okay, mathematicians, welcome back. So today we're going to do the second part of the math problems that are going to be assigned this week. To repeat, just again, in case you didn't watch the last video, I'm hoping you did. If you didn't, make sure you watch that video too. This week we're going to have two different word problems that we're going to unpack. And if you watch the last one, it is very similar to the one that I'm going to show you right now. It is a multi-step problem, so that means there might be some additional thinking that we're going to have to do, where we're going to have to ask ourselves, wait, am I really done, or is there something else that this problem is asking me to do? So, are you ready, mathematicians? Okay, so we're going to look at the problem part by part, and I'm not really unpacking it with you as deeply as I have in the past with the multiplication one, just because these problems are a little bit of a review, so you should have a good understanding of what you're being asked to do anyway. Ready? So, Miss Estenson brought paint markers. Now, just to build context, just in case you didn't watch the last video, this Friday the teachers are going to have a teacher parade. We're going, or most of us, because again, Ms. Dusevich and I were not going to be able to be there. We have pediatrician appointments, but a lot of other teachers are going to be there. There's going to be a police escort, and they're going to go around the neighborhood and just wave at you and just yell out how much we miss you and how much we can't wait to get back to school. But anyways, the teachers are going to be at the parking lot. They're going to decorate their cars, and Miss Estenson is bringing paint markers to help everyone decorate their cars. So again, just thinking about the context of the problem. What is the problem asking you to do? What is happening in the problem? Ready? Miss Estenson brought some paint markers. And if you've ever seen paint markers, you usually use them to write on windows or to write on like the sides of your cars. And the special thing about these paint markers is you can just wash it off, so it's not permanent. Well, anyways, Miss Estenson brought some paint markers. But if you've ever had paint markers, you know that just like any regular markers, they can dry out. So look at the next part of the problem. However, some markers dried out and had to be thrown away. Oh my goodness. So let's think about this problem, mathematicians. So Miss Estenson brought some paint markers, but then some of them have to be thrown away. So think to yourself, are you going to have less? Are you going to have more? Is the amount of paint markers getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? What do you think? Take a few more seconds. Is the amount of paint markers getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? If you can, find someone in your house and turn and talk and tell them, what do you think is happening in this problem? What do you think is happening with the amount of the paint markers? Okay, take a few more seconds. Okay, so let's look at the next part, because again, remember what I said. These problems, you pretty much know what to do. We just have to do some deeper thinking, because these problems are going to be multi-step problems this week. Ready? Let's look at the last part of the problem. Luckily, Miss Barbette had some in her van. So wait, Miss Estenson brought some. Some had to be thrown away because they no longer work, but luckily, that means out of pure luck, Miss Barbette had some in her van. So wait, does that mean, do you think that means what I think it means, where they're going to be able to use the markers that Miss Estenson brought and the markers that Miss Barbette had in her van? So now, think to yourself first, what is happening with the amount of paint markers now? Is the amount getting bigger? Is it getting smaller? What do you think, mathematicians? Okay, now let's think about the question. Ready? How many markers did the teachers have to decorate their cars? So let's think about that question again. How many markers did the teachers have to decorate their cars? So, from what I'm seeing and from what I'm understanding, I'm hoping you agree too, the question is not asking how many markers were thrown away. The question is not asking how many markers Miss Estenson brought or how many markers Miss Barbrett had in her van. It's asking how many markers did the teachers have to decorate their cars. If you can, turn and talk, tell the person close to you a strategy or what do you think you might do to start this problem. What kind of work you think you're being asked to do? What kind of strategy you might use? How might you start this problem? I'll give you a few seconds to think and then turn and talk to the person next to you and discuss what this problem again is asking you to do, how you might start this problem, maybe what strategy you might use. Ready? A few seconds. Okay, a few more seconds. Okay, so let's come back and think about this problem. Ready, mathematicians? If you are someone who is confused about this problem, the best thing for you to do is to draw it out or get a tool that's going to help you understand this problem. And for the sake of this problem, I'm going to use my crayons and pretend they are paint markers. I'm just going to pretend they're paint markers just so I can understand this problem a little bit better. Ready? So I'm going to get a small amount of paint markers just to practice my thinking, just to make sure that I understand what this problem is asking from me. Ready? So let me do some thinking. If I'm pretending these are paint markers and I'm just pretending to start off my thinking that Miss Estenson maybe brought 4 paint markers. 1, 2, 3, 4. But some of them dried out and had to be thrown away. Maybe 3 were dried out and had to be thrown away. But then Miss Barbrett had some in her van. And Miss Barbrett can have any amount. She might be able to have the same amount of markers. She might be able to have more than the amount that were thrown away. Let's see. Maybe Miss Barbrett had this many in her van. So, wait, how many markers did the teachers have to decorate their cars? Well, this one is still left because this one was one of the ones that was not thrown away. And then if Miss Barbrett had these in her van, then if I put them all together, this is the amount of markers that the teachers have to decorate their van. Or, well, sorry, their cars. Because Miss Barbrett is one of the few with a van. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, if you're someone who is still having trouble understanding this problem, you could draw it out. You could use a tool to help you understand. Whichever strategy is going to help you build that comprehension to help you get a better understanding of what's happening, use it. But if you're someone who's ready to move on from those strategies and move into solving this problem with numbers, go ahead too. So let's look at the first problem set for this word problem. So in the first problem, Miss Estenson brought 20 paint markers. Wait, that's a really friendly number for us. I think we can all kind of maybe see a group of 20, count to 20. Thumbs up if that's a pretty easy number for you to get to. I think everyone's thumbs would be up right now. Now let's look at the next part. However, 2 markers dried out and had to be thrown away. 2 markers. 2 markers. Okay, just keep that number in your head. Ready? Look at the next one. Luckily, Miss Barbara had 10 in her van. So how many markers did the teachers have to decorate their cars? Well, how about we go to a clean page, put those numbers up here so we can work with them, and see if we can come up with a strategy to help us solve this. Ready? So let's first make a quick annotation as to what each number represents. So the 20 represents the amount of paint markers. The 2 represents the amount of paint markers that had to be thrown away, and I'm going to represent that with an X. And then the 10 represents the amount of paint markers that Miss Barbara had in her van. So let's see. If I wanted to show this with a picture, I know exactly how I could do that. I could draw about 20 of these, but that might be too inefficient for me. I think I might use, for my first strategy, because remember, we're trying to show at least 2 strategies in our thinking, I might do a different symbol to represent this. I'm thinking maybe tallies. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. So I got to 20 markers. But then 2 of them were thrown away. So I may actually have to cross all of this out just to represent my thinking in a different way, because it might be hard for me to cross them out and understand how many I have if I have too many lines like this. So I'm going to change this one to this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then wait, so 2 were thrown away. So 1, 2. So if 2 were thrown away, I'm going to first think how many markers I have right now before I work with this number. Ready? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. So right now, mathematicians, I have 18 markers. Now I'm going to look at this next part of the problem. Ready? Miss Barbara luckily had 10 markers in her van. So if I have 18 and Miss Barbara has 10 more, and the question is how many markers can the teachers use to decorate their cars, I'm thinking that the last part is asking me how many markers would I have if I put this number and this number together. Wondering what strategy could I use to do that. Probably counting on by tens, because that's pretty easy for me. Plus 10, and that would lead to 28. There we go. So that's one strategy I can use to show my thinking. What's another strategy? I'm thinking to myself, and I'm also thinking out loud just to show you how I'm thinking, that I may want to use a strategy that's very similar to the work I did up here, but maybe that looks neater or is more efficient. I'm thinking, since I kind of showed groups of 5 to get to 20, I may count by 5s in my next strategy to show what I did. So 5, 10, so because I'm counting by 5s. So 5, 10, 15, 20. And then I went backwards 2 to get to 18. And then from 18, I counted on plus 10 to get to 28. Did you see how I did that, mathematicians? Now, the next part might be a little tricky, because I could easily just represent the last part I did in a number sentence, or I could try and represent all the numbers that I used in my number set in a number sentence. There are different ways. There's no wrong way. What we really care is your effort to show your understanding of what you did. Your effort is good enough. So don't forget that. We just want you to try. So I'm going to try and represent for this problem using all the numbers in the number set that I had at the beginning. So I'm thinking if my total was 28, I got to that because I had 20. I took 2 away because 2 were thrown out, but then I added 10 more. And I think that pretty much shows the process that I took to get to this number of 28. And then the last thing I need to do is to write an explanation. So I'm thinking I may choose the first one in my explanation. Ready? So first I did tallies to 20. Then I rewrote the last group and crossed out 2. The markers left were 18. Next, I counted up by 10 and got to 28. Do you see how specific my explanation is? That's exactly how your explanations have to be. They have to be specific and showcase all the steps that you took in the process to show your thinking. So don't forget, just show your thinking, and as you're working through the problem, think to yourself, are you missing anything? These are multi-step problems, so it can be very easy to miss a step if you don't go back and look and double check your work to make sure you're not missing any steps. But I think that all of you are going to do really awesome this week in this problem, because if you notice, for the first problem set and the next problem set, a lot of our number choices have friendly numbers that a lot of us are very comfortable working with. So I think you're all going to do awesome this week. So I can't wait to see your work on Friday. Remember, Mrs. Correa is taking over most of the grading, so just give her some time as she's adjusting, because she is taking on a lot of work, just like I am, and it takes us a few days to kind of get into the swing of things when we come back from doing something. So I can't wait to work with you again next week. Don't forget to watch all the videos that we're posting. Do your very best. I know a lot of you are trying your very best. I can't wait to work with you again next week. Bye-bye.